Blessings and peace to you. This is SB Favor Thinking Podcast, and my name is SB Favor. How are you doing today? It is Thursday, July 27, 2023. Another beautiful day and another day to be thankful. And as I always say, if you focus on what is good, then you can project something good to happen. Yes. When you focus on what is good, because there are no benefits. If you are sitting around thinking negative, what benefit is that? How's that going to help you? If you have a problem or something you're experiencing in your life and you're just focusing on the problem and not the solution, what benefit is it? Ask yourself that question. So, focus on what is good. If you are out there traveling about today, make sure you say a prayer when you are behind the wheel and when you're out and about. Stay focused. Don't be distracted. Keep yourself safe and keep your family members safe. I always remind you of these things because I care. If you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $SB Favor. If you would like to give on Venmo, you can also give at SB Favor on Venmo. Once again, if you would like to give to the podcast, you can give at Cash App, $SB Favor, or you can give at Venmo at SB Favor. Thank you so much for your donations and your support. Well, I have an inspirational quote for you today, and my inspirational quote is, when you are having conversations, identify and make sure you recognize your own triggers. Other people can't be responsible for what happened to you in your past. You must recognize your own triggers to be healed. Yes, a lot of us have experienced all types of traumas, ups, downs, discouragements. We've all been through different things in our life. And unfortunately, because of some of the things that we have gone through, sometimes in conversations, we are triggered. We're triggered to be reminded of our past. Sometimes we are triggered to be reminded of something that happened that didn't feel good, or a past breakup, relationship. It could be anything. When someone is having a conversation with you, or if you hear something on the television or on the radio, and all of a sudden it reminds you of your past, all of a sudden those feelings come back as if it's happening all over again. That's a trigger. The next person can never be responsible for how you feel if you are not doing the work to live past your triggers. Yes, we should be considerate of one another according to what we say and how we say it. But if you are not doing the work in your life to walk in healing, to walk with the positive mindset, if you're not doing the work to live in harmony with yourself, the next person can't be responsible for that. As individuals, we have a responsibility to take care of our inward parts just as we take care of our outward parts. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about maintaining your mind, maintaining your heart, and maintaining your spirit. Yes, because as a man thinketh, so is he. And the old saying also is, a man is as he eat. You are what you eat. So if you are thinking negative, eventually you're going to have negative actions. If you are exposing yourself to inspirational content and things to build your spirit, then that will manifest healthy or positive actions. So when you are reminded of your past, you don't go backwards. You don't look backwards. You respond to who you are today. Because the next person cannot be responsible for your triggers. Something happened to me recently, and that is why I decided to talk about this topic. I was having a conversation with someone, and I was just speaking in a general context, talking about relationship stuff, and I made a comment, and the next thing that came up in the conversation was this individual defending themselves. And I started asking myself, did I say something wrong? Because they were defending themselves as if I was talking about them personally, and I wasn't. We were just having a general conversation about relationships. And so they became very defensive. And so from that, I started thinking about triggers. Because I can honestly and humbly say, yes, I have been triggered. And at times when I recognized I had certain feelings or certain thoughts, I told myself, no, I will not respond or react as if I'm living according to what happened in the past. So what I'm saying is this: when you recognize in the moment, when you recognize that something triggers you, when you recognize you have or experience bad feelings from something that you experienced years ago, when you recognize that, acknowledge it for what it is, but you don't have to bask in it, and you don't have to treat others according to something you no longer live in. Now, if you're one of those people and you don't take the time to question your own behavior or question your own thoughts, then you will just cater to toxic feelings and toxic emotions according to your past, and then you will just start acting as if that incident from your past is happening all over again. We must understand as individuals what our triggers are. None of us is 100% healed. All of us are in the process of being healed. And the beautiful thing about being in the process of being healed is you get to recognize all the corrections of all these things on your journey so that you can walk in knowledge. When you pay attention to your own life and your own thoughts and your own actions, you will be the student in your own classroom of life. Yes. When you pay attention to how you think and how you act, it is so easy for people to point the finger and look at the ills and the actions of others when they fall short. But as individuals that are currently working on ourselves and progressively doing the work, we must examine our own emotions, our own thoughts, and our own reactions to determine if we are being triggered. And if someone is saying something to you that might be uncomfortable, just check yourself. Ask yourself the question, why do I feel uncomfortable? Where are these feelings coming from? Why am I thinking like this? Ask yourself that question. Because if a total stranger is saying something to you based upon something that happened in your past, and that stranger doesn't know you, they just happen to talk about something that happened in the past that relates to you, that stranger is not trying to attack you. You have the responsibility to recognize your own triggers. When I recognize my triggers, I told myself, I will learn about what I need to do to become better, because I will not be trapped in my past. And when you live according to your triggers, that's exactly what is happening. It's a form of being trapped in your past, trapped in your emotions, trapped in your mind and your thoughts, because whatever happened 10 years ago, whatever happened 20 years ago, that's the past. And we shouldn't look back. Yes, you can acknowledge what happened. Yes, you can look at what happened to learn from it and acknowledge it for what it is. But don't live according to what happened to you. Understand that what happened to you in the past was just a moment. And the people and family members that are in your life today, they shouldn't have to suffer because of something that you went through. Yes, it is important to receive compassion and mercy, and also to give compassion and mercy. But at the same time that we give and receive mercy and compassion, we also must take responsibility for our own toxic thoughts and emotions and triggers from things from our past. When you acknowledge these things, you start the path of another type of healing that is very, very powerful, because we all are in the process of being healed. There is not one person on this earth. And for the church folks that walk around and say, oh, I'm healed because God healed me. Well, guess what? If God healed you, then why are you still responding to something that happened in 1990? If God healed you, then why are you responding to something that happened in early 2000? Yes, I do believe in the power of God's healing. But I also believe that God leaves us in a place of responsibility to choose what thoughts we agree with. God also gives us the responsibility to choose how we should react. So walking around in pride saying, I'm healed. Okay, that's fine. You can say that. But in the midst of a crisis, or in the midst of a problem, or in the midst of someone saying something to you that's uncomfortable, your test will determine, are you really healed or are you triggered? All of us have work to do. And as long as we are on this earth, if you take the time to examine yourself every single day, whether you examine yourself while you're praying, while you're meditating, whatever it is you do, if you examine yourself throughout the day, I guarantee you, you will find something within yourself to work on. None of us have room to look at the next person according to their faults and what they're doing and what they're not doing. We must look at ourselves as individuals every day to become better mothers, to become better fathers, better friends, better neighbors. And when you become a better person, you become an asset. You become an asset to help somebody. You become an asset to be an absolute blessing for someone else to be better. Because that's the love of God. The love of God is to love yourself, to love somebody else with his love loving you. And so, listeners, I appreciate you taking the time to tune in and listen to SB Favorite Thinking Podcast. I need encouragement just like everybody else. And I appreciate all the people that take the time to listen to the podcast, share the podcast, donate to the podcast. I appreciate you. I don't take it for granted, not one bit, because I need to be encouraged just like everybody else. And when someone sends a donation or tell me about how they feel according to the feedback they give about the podcast, I appreciate it. It gives me encouragement. It gives me joy. So thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. I truly, truly appreciate all of you. I'm sending out a big virtual hug right now to your ears because I thank you for supporting this podcast. And so on that note, I'm going to conclude this episode. Make sure you share this episode with others because I'm sure somebody needs to hear this. And everything I'm saying, if it doesn't apply to you and you got it all together, guess what? Well, God bless you. Because none of us are 100% perfect. All of us are a work in progress. So thank you for listening to the podcast. And once again, make sure you share this podcast with others. And if you would like to give, please give at Cash App, $SB Favor, or you can give at Venmo at SB Favor. I appreciate you so much. And if you need to reach me, you can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. On all social media handles, you can find me at SB Favor or at SB Favor Thinking Podcast. Make sure, like I said, share the podcast with others. I got to keep saying that. Subscribe here on YouTube as well. Spotify, Amazon Audible, Castbox, SoundCloud. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find me anywhere. Just Google SB Favor Thinking Podcast and you will find me. Make sure you continue to tune in and support this podcast, because my intent is to be an absolute blessing, to encourage you, inspire you, and to make you think about all that is good to be a better person. So once again, thank you for listening, and you have a good day.